So let's get to our 10 projects here in 2 hours, and we turn it over to our first project presentation and Megan, the team leader for techJOYnT.
Thank you, Jeff. So, like Jeff mentioned, my name is Meghan Saunders, and I had the pleasure of being one of this semester's team leads for a social entrepreneurship project. In the next 15 minutes, you're going to hear about techJOYnT, an Oklahoma City-based company who's founded on the social mission of providing STEM education to every student across the nation. Through techJOYnT classes, students learn the skills that not only empower them to change their world around them, but also to tackle any problem that they're faced with. This semester, I was blown away by my team's commitment to helping techJOYnT achieve this mission. Not only are these the 4 hardest working and most intelligent people I've ever met, they are also the most fun. We are constantly told throughout the semester that our team meetings look like we were having a great time, and I have to say that was a really, really accurate observation that people made. But even through all of that, we were faced with a bunch of challenges through this project, and my team approached every single one with a positive attitude that I've never seen before. I love my team, and they were great interns, and they worked so hard, but in true CCEW fashion, they also play hard. So, with that, before I bring them out, I want to say a special thanks to Megan Nash, whose graphic design work you will see in our presentation, as well as Alyssa Butel, our fellow, and the rest of the CCEW staff who made sure that our project was always moving forward. So, I had a great time this semester being a team lead, and with that, I would love to introduce you to McKenna, Jake, Alan, and Julia, Team techJOYnT.
In the next 10 years, Oklahoma alone expects to have 70,000 career openings in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM. Nationally, that number is over 1 million. It is crucial that we fill these careers in order to prevent the United States from falling further behind as a leader in technological innovation, and it all starts with inspiring young students. techJOYnT, an Oklahoma City-based company, offers supplemental STEM education to grades K through 12 to captivate and foster students' long-term interest in STEM. With the opportunity to create, tinker, and learn at techJOYnT, students become passionate problem solvers who will go on to brighten the future of not just Oklahoma, but the entire nation. techJOYnT is so committed to their social impact goal of giving every student STEM opportunities that they have asked for our help to devise a plan that will allow them to achieve this at a much higher level. Through over 50 interviews with industry professionals, parent surveys, and our own extensive research, we've been able to devise a 3-part recommendation that will lead techJOYnT to establish success in Oklahoma and then grow and impact as many students as possible through their company. Good evening. I'm McKenna Beard, a mechanical engineering and music major from Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm Jake DiNucci, a finance and economics major from Plano, Texas.
I'm Alan Yen, a chemical engineering major from Stillwater, Oklahoma.
I'm Julia Wynn, an international business and economics major from McAllister, Oklahoma.
Our team lead is Meghan Saunders, our inventor is Ray Shake, and our mentor is Todd York, and we are Team techJOYnT. techJOYnT teaches classes to about 25 students at a time over the course of 8 or 16 weeks using high-end materials in game design, electronics, app development, and robotics. These classes are taught in a hands-on, interactive environment through either their brick-and-mortar location in Oklahoma City or their mobile STEM lab, where techJOYnT teachers take the class directly to the students. techJOYnT students develop valuable skills such as programming a robot, like our friend on stage. These skills empower students to problem solve rather than give up when faced with challenging scenarios. It is techJOYNT's goal to inspire students in such a way that they go on to pursue STEM at a higher level. However, techJOYNT has not been able to reach as many students as they desire, and we've identified 3 main reasons for the inconsistencies in their company. First, techJOYNT is offering a variety of different services through inconsistent delivery methods. This often means that their costly brick-and-mortar location is remaining empty, or their most exciting materials, like this robot, are not being used. Second, techJOYNT has no clear strategy for identifying and targeting their markets. This often leads to an inconsistent approach in the way they secure business and a low volume of classes. And finally, techJOYNT is lacking a plan and the staff resources necessary to expand outside of Oklahoma City. In their current state, techJOYNT is operating at a net loss, teaching just 2 classes and serving fewer than 50 students. But we are confident that techJOYnT is ready to advance their company and impact many more students. Our 3 recommendations will lead techJOYnT to national success. First, we've standardized their delivery method through their mobile STEM lab and a tiered class curriculum. This creates consistency across all of their services. Second, we have been able to identify their target markets and the best way to reach those markets. We've narrowed it down to students ages 7 to 13, as well as identified the steps necessary to reach those schools. And finally, once techJOYnT has been able to implement this delivery method into these target markets, they will be able to expand through a franchise model that we have created. This franchise model will allow them to reach an exponentially greater amount of students. Within 5 years, this plan implies $310,000 in annual profit, 660 classes taught per year, and 16,000 students impacted by STEM education every year. We're really excited about the potential our plan has to help techJOYnT grow and change students' lives. And to talk more about the standardized delivery method, here's Jake.
Thank you. As McKenna mentioned, techJOYnT had been inconsistent in their delivery methods in both their brick and mortar business and their mobile lab. So the first step in creating a growth plan for techJOYnT was to standardize the delivery method for all of their classes. We found the best way to do this was through an entirely mobile STEM lab. This would allow techJOYnT to lower their overhead costs because they won't be spending money on a brick and mortar location they aren't utilizing. Next, we identified that this lab should operate within schools. This is because 41 out of 43 parents and or school officials we talked to stated they would like to see techJOYnT services within schools. Next, we found that this lab needs to be equipped with a custom-made leveled curriculum. This leveled curriculum will make it easier to retain current customers because a student is more likely to take a Game Design 2 class after a Game Design 1 class rather than an entirely new course. Now let's take a step back and see what will be equipped in this lab. So this mobile lab will be equipped with every material needed for this new custom-made curriculum. This will include 1 Now robot, 25 Lego Mindstorms, 25 laptops, and software for each of these laptops, including National Instruments LabVIEW. One of these labs will be able to teach 15 classes per year, impacting over 375 students with a startup cost of approximately $67,000. These units will be able to generate revenues of $87,000 a year. Now let's see how this new standardized techJOYnT stands up against the competition. So in order to do this, we first had to come up with a list of over 20 supplemental STEM education companies, and we narrowed it down to their top 3. These were Engineering for Kids, Project Lead the Way, and Bricks for Kids. Engineering for Kids and Bricks for Kids are for-profit franchise companies operating in over 90 and 500 locations respectively, while Project Lead the Way is a nonprofit organization operating in over 6,000 schools. While the competition offers more classes than techJOYnT, techJOYnT focuses on their 4 fundamental classes, and this allows them to provide the best services possible to their students. This begins with their newfound mobility I talked about. techJOYnT is going to be bringing their classes to these students. While Bricks for Kids and Engineering for Kids have a mobile leg of their business, neither is strictly mobile. Next, techJOYnT teachers are required to have a STEM background. This means they can have a bachelor's in a STEM degree, they could be a teacher of a STEM subject, or they can have STEM industry experience. And this is going to be great for students because it's going to allow these teachers to tell students and show them real-world examples for these complex concepts they're learning about. It's also important that these teachers have a STEM background because of the sophisticated materials techJOYnT uses. techJOYnT utilizes the most sophisticated hands-on materials, such as our friend on stage, an Aldebaran Advanced Humanoid Now robot. While competitors use things such as Lego Mindstorms kits or Vex Robotics kits, which are much like Erector sets with a programming component. Through our conversations with university STEM education professors, we found that this Now robot and other sophisticated materials will provide students with a novel experience that is unparalleled amongst the competition, because students are exposed to Legos and Erector sets through their houses and through schools, but never are they going to get the opportunity to hang out with and let alone program an advanced humanoid robot. And now to talk more about how we're going to take these standardized mobile labs to our ideal market, here's Alan Yen.
Thank you very much, Jake. So techJOYnT services are applicable to 77 million students from grades K through 12, and their parents already spend $29 billion on these after-school activities. However, we further segmented this market down to 3 groups to identify techJOYNT's key customer. We recommend that techJOYNT focus on kids aged 7 to 13 because research shows that at this age, the kids that participate in these activities have lasting implications on their future careers. Now, this market consists of 28 million students, where 34% of these students cannot participate in after-school activities for 3 reasons. That is, the cost, the hours of operation, and availability. techJOYNT can address all 3 of these concerns because it's about half the price of the average after-school activity, and the mobility can address the last 2 concerns. We've also seen wide interest in techJOYNT services. Through surveys sent to parents and schools of various demographics, we learned that 40 out of 43 were interested in techJOYNT services. On top of that, in conversations with district superintendents, we learned that techJOYNT has 3 key features that schools look for in an after-school program. They're really easy to implement, they're innovative, and they have high-quality materials. And finally, techJOYNT currently operates in 2 schools with extremely different socioeconomic standings. In one school, all the students are on free and reduced lunch, and in the other school, it's located in an extremely affluent area. We are confident that techJOYNT can fulfill their social mission of providing STEM education, and we've seen wide interest in techJOYNT services. Now, regardless of the type of school, techJOYNT can reach the school through the same method. Through conversations with principals, we learned that district superintendents or school officials make the final decision when it comes to after-school programs. Now, techJOYNT can reach these people through educational conferences, such as the AASA. Afterwards, these school officials can determine how to pay for techJOYNT services either through a parent-paid model or through a school-paid model. Regardless, they'll pay for techJOYNT services, and in return, techJOYNT will provide a standardized mobile vehicle to teach the students. This market entry strategy, combined with the standardized method of delivery that Jake mentioned, will prepare techJOYNT to scale nationally. And to talk more about that scaling is Julia.
Thank you, Alan. Following this standardization here in Oklahoma, let's see if I can get this to work. I'll just talk loud. Following this standardization here in Oklahoma, we recommend that techJOYNT franchise out in order to most efficiently reach kids nationally. The franchisee will pay techJOYNT a startup fee of $20,000. From there, the franchisee will receive a week-long intensive training course, as well as all of the curriculum they need to host their classes, discounts on their startup costs, and continuing operational support. From there, the franchisee will contact their local school districts, and they will host an average of 15 classes per year with their mobile STEM lab, charging an average of $225 per student per class. From there, the franchisee will relay 10% of their sales as royalties to techJOYNT headquarters. But before techJOYNT can realize this franchise model, they need to take some steps here in Oklahoma first, which is what we call phase 1 of our expansion plan. techJOYNT can fully bootstrap their profitability from in between now and 2016 because they don't need any new injections of capital during this time. We've also accounted for the creation of the custom curriculum during this period, and we assume that they'll be able to host 30 classes per year in 2016. We base this assumption off of the conversations we've had with superintendents, parents, and teachers, and we also base it off of the initial interest expressed at Oakdale, a school in which techJOYNT currently operates. In the beginning, 200 parents were willing to write a $200 check to put their kids through techJOYNT's programs. So we think this is a reasonable estimation. In 2017, techJOYNT can begin practicing their franchise model and continue to further prove their profitability. We spoke with a professional franchise consultant in Tulsa, and she said that this would be key towards their success with the franchise. It also allows them a profit margin of 33% in 2017, which leads us to phase 2 of their expansion plan. In phase 2, techJOYNT fully commits to their franchise model. We've accounted in this model for hiring a full-time administrator as well as a full-time marketing specialist to conduct their operations at headquarters. We've also accounted for all of the legal fees that will be needed with regards to creating the franchise disclosure document to sign their franchisees. We also have accounted for a 10% royalty from techJOYnT franchisee sales to the headquarters. And we assume it will be reasonable for them to have 20 franchises by 2020 and 100 franchises by 2025. This is a reasonable benchmark to competitors that we came up with. By 2025, they'll be able to have a profit margin of 82%, a large increase from the 2017 projection. In addition, they'll be able to reach 16,000 students in 2020 and then jump to 39,000 students by 2025. This will also leave them with an accumulated equity of $2.88 million in the next 10 years. So for techJOYnT to reach this national growth, we've identified some steps for them to take here in Oklahoma first. We recommend that they start reaching out to the contacts we've made during our project, and then begin making connections at educational conferences such as CCOSA. They can also begin immediately developing and implementing their custom curriculum. With regards to phase 2, the franchise expansion, we recommend that they start practicing and assessing this model in the year 2017, and then begin creating their detailed operations manual for the franchisees, as well as begin recruiting franchisees in 2017 and 2018. So to conclude our presentation, we've identified the most efficient delivery method for techJOYnT. We've created a specific market entry strategy. We've developed a model that will lead to sustainable, scalable growth, and we've created projections that lead to 16,000 students and over $300,000 in annual profit in the next 5 years. We've enjoyed helping techJOYnT create this high-impact national growth strategy, and we've been really happy to do our small part in helping students have access to STEM education. We thank you so much for your time, and we'll now take any questions you may have. Yes.
What advantages do you see to the robot in educational outcomes that you don't get with Lego sets that are already today?
So we had a conversation with a university professor here on campus, and he told us that these now robots and other sophisticated technologies, they'll allow students with novel experiences that they're not getting anywhere else, meaning the students, they get to play with Legos probably at home or maybe school, but I don't know any time in my childhood years that I got to play with an advanced humanoid robot personally. And he said that that would be something really special for students.
Right, so naturally, the more people we talk to will be better. But we talked to a bunch of different schools and parents and principals and district superintendents from different demographics, whether that's socioeconomic, location in the USA. We talked to a couple people in New Jersey. And so we believe that it's a pretty accurate representation of the demographics. And through all of our conversations, almost all of them were interested in techJOYnT, so we believe in their success. So we were actually able to see techJOYnT in action. It was really awesome. We went to Oakdale, and we talked to a couple students, and they were so passionate about what we were doing. And we were actually more impassioned by seeing them so excited about what they were doing. And all the kids just had smiles on their face. I remember there's one girl that just leaned back to us and said, "This is so cool." We're just, yes, techJOYnT.
we've accounted for it financially. We've accounted for new curriculum development beginning in 2017 and the potentially increase in cost that would necessitate. We're confident that the owner of the business has the skills and the acumen to foresee which technologies will be most prominent and most important for students. So, that answers your question. Yes.
What legal advantages do you feel exist allowing for-profit firms to set up business besides public and private public schools?
There's actually companies that are currently doing this. Our competitors, some competitors that weren't listed, they currently offer classes through after-school programs. So I feel like there's really no legal impediments. The biggest struggle is actually getting into the school and getting accredited with the superintendents that Alan spoke about. And that's really the biggest challenge I see entering school districts or schools.
So we've actually looked into a couple places to expand first, and two of those places is possibly Dallas and Texas. We know there's a lot of STEM grants that have been given there, and so techJOYnT could really take advantage of those grants there. Another place is Colorado, who actually recently won a really big national STEM grant called Race to the Top, and so that was another location that we identified, which is close to Oklahoma and would have the funding to pay for their services.